All right, you guys. So it is Thursday, about to be Friday morning. It's 11:55 at night, about to be midnight. I'm going to be releasing this first video today um, along the lines of the laws of success. So I'm going to break down Napoleon Hill's The Laws of Success. I've been studying this book for almost plus 6 years now, inching up on that 7 year mark. And it's the most influential book that's ever impacted me outside of a few religious texts. And I don't care what religion you are. This laws of success is for basically everybody. Napoleon Hill had students of all faiths and all religions in order to kind of understand some of the things that were happening from his studies over 25 years with some of the wealthiest people in the world at the time. This is 1920s, 1930s when he wrote 1920s when he wrote Laws of Success, 1930s when he wrote Think and Grow Rich. Now, that said, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm starting what's called the Vigilante Academy. I'm starting this with a few members of not only my team at Greener Grass Juicery, but a few members that I have previously wrestled with and have been some lifelong mastermind partners in becoming the best version of ourselves and working to become more of a servant leader. What we look to do with Vigilante Academy is to educate the young men. For example, if I would have had somebody that found out the things that I'm learning at this time to help guide me and basically direct all the testosterone and all the anger and all the who am I, and have some guidance into how to become a alpha servant leader, man, I would have been so much better off. And we're going to work to utilize that through MMA practices, through not only emotional and mental practices, but a complete holistic spiritual everything in order to help these young men with outlines, with physical exertion and guidance through their life. I've set up a GoFundMe. It's absolutely all donations. Every donation is going to go towards the Vigilante Academy in helping young men find themselves as well as become a better version of what a man should be in this world. And it's all going to be based off of these laws of success principles. So if you believe in the things that I'm going to be relaying that I've learned up to this point, and if it gives you value, feel free to donate. But again, never feel obligated. And everything that I say, just take the gold from it. Discard anything else, but take the gold from it. And I could urge you guys to do that with anybody. But let's go ahead and break this down, guys. We're so fortunate, and I am hyped up to be able to express this because I've just been diving into it over and over and over. And I've studied ancient religions. I've studied ancient philosophies. I've studied multiple different facets. I've studied multiple different successful people, biographies, autobiographies, you name it, anything I can get my hands on. And this is going to be a culmination of some of the things that I've learned. And I'm going to break it down into simple terms so that the modern day person can understand it. Because what I found is the language in the 1920s is not the same as it is today. Words mean different things, and in order to understand things correctly, we have to bring it from those old language patterns and bring them into the new modern era so that we can all understand it at a more simple level. Let's go ahead and get this screen share started. Boy, I'm hyped. All right, guys, let's get this here. Full screen. Bang. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome to the Laws of Success Breakdown by the Vigilante. I'm going to be able to, as we move on, I'm going to have this more decorated. We'll have more pictures. We'll get more aesthetic to make sure this is a lot more fun as we go. But I wanted to get this out as soon as possible so that we could start on that track, because I've been having so many great conversations with customers, so many great conversations with different people in my life. And I can't hold it back anymore. I can't hold it in. So why was the Laws of Success written? Napoleon Hill, he looked to guide students, not for entertainment purposes. Like, this isn't, hey, let's have a movie. This is going to be the greatest movie ever. No, this is strictly for results. We're looking for results here. We want things that work. The book is devoted to people willing to dedicate a portion of their lives to succeeding. So, I mean, just right there, it's telling you this book ain't no joke. The Laws of Success is take it as it is. This is how you make it, take it or leave it. This is how you bake the cake. Are you going to put all the ingredients in, or are you going to leave the sugar out and then it ain't going to produce the right result? And this book is going to help us identify our own weaknesses, excuse me, and assist us in bridging the gap of those weaknesses. So identifying first, because if you don't know what your weaknesses are, or if you don't want to face what your weaknesses are, then we're in trouble, because all of our life, those weaknesses are going to be holding us back. And we're going to break into this a little bit further in just a second. But the top 10 weaknesses: intolerance. Are you intolerant with others? Tolerance is one of the biggest things to having success. Being tolerant on all subjects, at least for a small period of time, to have an open mind and see a different perspective. That alone will help you grow and learn faster than anything, is at least from my experiences up to this point. Cupidity. Are you lustful? Are you, every girl that comes by, it's like, man, how do I talk to this girl? How do I talk to that girl? How do I talk to this girl? And you can't have that. Marcus Aurelius, in his book Meditations, he always talks about, instead of thinking how can I be with this woman, it should be how can I not want to be with this woman. So we're looking at females in a different perspective, and we are holding their value instead of looking at them as objects, or basically a sexual toy. And it should not be that way, because they're definitely more than that. And they can help you so much in the life. And I'm generally pointing this at men, because obviously I don't know the female perspective on everything. And we want to work with these young men to help them in that path, because I needed it back in the day. And it's a continuous working, because you have the flesh of a man, and it is consistently working against you if you don't have a bulletproof mind. Jealousy. If you get jealous of other people when they're winning, and it's going to affect you big time. Suspicion. If I'm suspicious of people around me, all of a sudden I can't trust anymore. And if I can't give my full trust and full loyalty, I'll never be able to receive full trust and full loyalty. Revenge, man, that one gets dark sometimes. You can go from positive thoughts to very dark and very bad thoughts. And I know everybody's felt this when they've been crossed, they've been hurt. Instantly flashes and goes into your mind of how we can get back at this person, and it's not always pretty. That's a top 10 weakness. Egotism. Conceit. Reaping where not sown. If you get let's say you got gifted $1 million, but you hadn't earned that $1 million, that's going to be the worst gift you could ever receive, because you're not going to know how to handle it. Jim Rohn says, he says, if somebody gives you $1 million, you better become a millionaire really quick. And that's so important, because you see so many successful people go from nothing to something, and then they don't keep their money because they weren't ready for all that power. They weren't ready for all that abundance. But you can also see people who are at the top that they can lose everything, but with the right principles, the right mindset, and the right plans, they get back to the top like that. So what is that? And we're going to break into that. Now, spending more than we earn. Man, especially in today's society, it's consume. And debt is the new slavery, guys. I'm telling you, debt is the new slavery, and it is for every single person in this world. And we have to break our own chains, truly. Most people don't even know they're in chains. Harriet Tubman, the quote attributed to her at least, is, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. And then what we're going to be doing basically is leveling up the video game character. So I'm going to start trying to break all of this down into simple and modern day terms. So for example, if you've ever played a video game, as you continue and you grow and you learn new experiences through the video game, you get new tools, you get new attributes, you level up, you get new skill sets, the more your character can do in that world. And we're going to break into this a little bit further of what world we're talking about and the parameters within our world. But let's go to the next slide. So Napoleon Hill, he developed this philosophy basically, and he ended up, he was working with a guy who was basically going to quit his job and help Napoleon Hill get this philosophy into the hands of a lot of successful people in the business industry in the world. This partner that was going to quit his job, he ended up getting assassinated. So Napoleon Hill went into hiding, and he ended up writing a book called Outwitting the Devil, where he says he spoke to the devil, and it sounds like dark, and I know how that sounds. It sounds wild coming from first perspective, but basically he had to face his shadow side. He had to face his darkness in order to understand. He had to get out of that rut he got in by living in fear because his friend got assassinated during the process of this. And in that time frame when he was living in fear, no results were happening. So he ended up talking about in his lectures how he was able to get out of that, and how he had to get out of that, because if he didn't get out of his own rut, he couldn't prove that the laws that he had written about could actually be utilized by anybody in any situation. So it's absolutely beautiful. If you ever break into Napoleon Hill's works, that's a must read. It'll make you question things about yourself, which is always a growing experience. Now, success is just a problem waiting to be solved. It's just a level in a video game, guys. If you guys have ever played Grand Theft Auto, you guys know exactly what it's like to have free reign within a world. But the more things you do, the more money you accumulate, the more skills you accumulate, better weapons, etc. You can solve more problems. You can accomplish bigger, you can accomplish harder, you can accomplish more challenging missions that are ahead of you. And life is just a video game. I'm telling you guys, it's absolutely beautiful. Elon Musk, he'll say, we're living in a simulation. What's beyond the simulation? I don't know, but in order to understand the simulation we are living in, or the Grand Theft Auto game that we have control of, then we have to be able to understand these laws. The 15 lessons, this is just based on the introduction. So the 15 lessons after the introduction is going to be the definite chief aim. And I'm calling this the definite attainment. This is going to be modern day words. The reason definite attainment, and you're going to find out, is Napoleon Hill talks a lot about faith, not about wishing I had something or hoping I had something, but knowing I'm going to get it. A definite attainment is, yes, I'm definitely going to attain that. I'm getting it no matter what. A definite chief aim, or a definite goal, or a definite purpose, that language has changed. Goals, people fail goals all the time now, but we're not talking about goals here. We're talking about definite attainments, things we're actually going to do. And it is something that has to be built up. We have to develop enough self-confidence to get these things that we want. That's number 2 right there, self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from conquering the 6 basic fears, and we're going to break into that at the end. The habit of saving, fatten thy purse. So The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, he talks a lot about fattening thy purse and basically saving 10% of everything you earn. That's yours to keep. That's yours to do with what you want, as far as hopefully you're utilizing it for more opportunities. Because what's going to happen is if you get in the habit, of saving 10% of what you earn, or even 1% if you can't afford 10% right out of the gate, 1% of what you earn, it's going to start accumulating. And when that accumulates, opportunities are going to start coming up. And the opportunities come up whether you're prepared or not. But if you're prepared, you can take advantage of it. An opportunity might come up. You might have needed $100. But if you weren't saving consistently, that $100 was never there. Bam, and I can never open that door now. So consistently get into the habit of saving so that you can utilize that tool for you, again, in this Grand Theft Auto game. So fatten thy purse, opportunities versus capital. Initiative and leadership is next. So I listened to this guy when I was learning network marketing way back in the day, and he'd always talk about the speed of the leaders, the speed of the group, speed of the leaders, the speed of the group, speed of the leaders, the speed of the group. And it is so absolutely true, because without a leader setting the pace, nobody else knows where the bar is. And so it's like, that's why the bar in athletics is always getting pushed higher and higher and higher and higher, because the people that are working hard, they're working fast, they're continuously going on a freight train of momentum. They can bring everybody with them a lot faster. For example, if I can go from A to B, why should you have to start from A again and go to B? It's like, if I can go to A to B, I should show you how to get to B and then even go further to C. Let's completely skip that learning curve and learn from my past experiences or others' past experiences, etc. Now, imagination is another lesson that's going to be coming up. And that's all about having fun, being creative, and tapping back into that inner child. When you're a kid, you're exploring, you're having a blast. There's no rules, no limitations. You can be anything. And that imagination is going to be so much more of an education than even just schooling itself. You'll find a lot of successful people, a lot of billionaires, a lot of multimillionaires who dropped out of high school, dropped out of college, and just had the imagination to do something different, created real power. Let's see here. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is an interesting word. I feel like it is, people don't understand what exactly that means. So I want to put it into a modern day term of zest. When you put, let's say, a plate together at a mom and pop shop, it's a steak dinner. You put a steak dinner together, mom and pop shop, they give it to you, it's $10. Then you go to a 5-star restaurant, you get that same exact steak, but they put some garnishes on it, they put some zest on it, they decorate it a little bit, they put some love into it, some effort into the decorating of the food. And when it comes out, it's boom, it's the same steak, but they added zest to it. And enthusiasm, that zest that we're going to bring from the inside out, is going to be able to be a projectile, and make you go fast towards your goals. Because it's hard if you're not excited, if you're not pumped up, if you're not hyped up about doing something. It's hard to do it sometimes, and you got to be able to tap into that zest instantly. You got to be able to go from mom and pop instantly to 5-star, and we're going to talk about that in future chapters and future episodes for sure. Now, self-control, the video game parameters. So Grand Theft Auto again. In Grand Theft Auto, you have free reign to do whatever you want. If you want to go to the strip clubs, if you want to go take people's cars, if you want to go do bad stuff, you can absolutely do it. There's free parameters. But the self-control, what this is going to do is going to give us guiding limits. So it's going to be a wall. So it's kind of like the bumpers when you're bowling. If you, here, let me just get up here and draw that real quick. Where is my marker? 1 second. So it's kind of like this, where we have our parameters. So we have the game rules, where you can do anything between these two lines here. That's your parameters. Now, if you get self-control, you eliminate all of this garbage stuff. So whether it be like in Grand Theft Auto again, whether it be going to the strip club, or in real life, whether it be spending hours on social media that doesn't make sense to do if it's not paying you, hours on social. It could be thinking about women that don't matter, that aren't going to help you in your purpose. Thinking about women. It could be all kinds of different distractions. Well, maybe I'm into drugs, or maybe I'm into alcohol, or maybe I'm into all these negative vices. We have free reign to do it within our game, but it's not going to get us closer to the goal. Because just like the bumpers in the bowling, we're going to throw the ball down, and we wanted to hit this goal. We could either have these wide parameters and hope we zigzag and bounce off and bounce off and bounce off and bounce off and hopefully get to that point. But if we set these parameters for ourselves, if we set new rules within the game, look how much tighter it is. Boom, it's going to go here, 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 and it's going to get to that point a lot faster because you eliminated all the excess garbage, all the wasted movements. It's like a dance. If you can eliminate wasted movements, it looks like it flows and it's beautiful. If you don't eliminate wasted movements, it's robotic, and it's like too much wasted energy. So now let's move on to the next, because we're gonna get crazy in these. The habit of doing more than paid for. This is so important because I talk to a lot of people about currency, and today's currency, most people think it's money, and it's absolutely not money. Today's currency is energy. For example, you get paid money for spending your energy. You go to a job and you expend energy, and then you get return currency of money. But that energy that you're outputting, the more you put out, if you look into the laws of success, and we'll break the law of compensation by Ralph Waldo Emerson, you'll understand that. And we're going to break into that in a little bit later as well. So always continue to do more than paid for. And that surplus energy, that currency, you're putting dollars all day long into that surplus energy to be paid right back to you, because there's a law of cause and effect. In physics, it's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the more action we put out, the more reaction we get. Now, a pleasing personality is an exponential amplifier. And most people This is the one trait that some people are born with, but it can also be created and established. So there's people who are naturals at this. You're like, man, they just get everything they want. It's like everywhere they go, they have great people. All kinds of people are interested in them. They're doing all these great things. Man, I like that guy. Everybody likes this guy. And a lot of people don't know why. And we'll talk about these types of things of why it amplifies your life exponentially. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. It's 2 + 2 = 8. It goes a lot faster. For example, the baby in the womb. The baby in the womb grows more on month 9 than it does month 1 through 8 combined. And that's so very, very interesting because a pleasing personality, being likable in today's age, is so important. And some people lack the self-confidence enough to be likable. And so that's why pleasing personality is after self-confidence, because we're going to build your confidence enough to where you can create that pleasing personality and eliminate those weaknesses. Accurate thought, classifying info given to us and taking the gold and discarding the rest. So accurate thought's interesting. Even facts, if a fact is not associated with what you need and your goal, it's not always important. It's not always applicable. So being able to basically melt, if you distill something down to its core, you get the gold out of it. You get the impurities out. So accurate thought is basically just getting the impurities out of all the garbage. If you distill water, you heat it up with steam, and you catch all that steam and get it into a drinkable container, you'll see the old container with all the impurities, all the garbage that's inside your water that you didn't even know about. And accurate thought is taking all the information, because we're bombarded with information all day long. My friend said this, my family said this, social media said this, this politician said this other person said this. It's like, who's right? You have to be able to bring discernment, bring understanding to the table and say, does this pertain to me and what I am working towards? Or if it doesn't, is there something in there that can pertain to me that I can get better with? Concentration. Having a one-track mind is a good thing sometimes, because if you can start something and you can finish it, you can do the work of well over 10 men. Because most people, me included in the past, would get 30 different things started and you're like, yeah, I'm on momentum, I got it. And then all of a sudden you hit those obstacles on those 30 things and you're like, fuck, man, I can't even do one thing now. I started 30 and none of them got finished. But if you would have started small, start on one thing, finish it, started small, start on one thing, finish it, you would have just started accomplishing, knocking it out. So starting and finishing. Cooperation. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. That's what it's about here. And we love this because our team talks about it all the time, like a football team. Every person has a different strength, and you have to put the people in the right positions in order to succeed. For example, a football team, if you were to put the lineman at quarterback, you're probably not going to be scoring too many touchdowns because that's not the lineman's position. If you put the receiver at lineman, he's probably not going to be able to defend the quarterback as good as the lineman because that's not his position. Being able to identify your strengths and putting yourself and others in positions to where you're playing the right team, you're putting an all-star team together. Guess how many touchdowns you're going to score? As many as you'd like. Promise. Look at the greats. I mean, the Tom Brady's, like, they know how to put people in the right place. And I'm a Broncos fan, so that's saying something. Because Tom Brady is a beast, and he is a rival, but he's a beast. Cooperation. And then profiting by failure. If any of you guys watching this knew my brother who passed, Corey Quintana, when we were living in LA, when I was working for Jordan Belfort, he was working at this Beverly Hills Country Club, and he'd come home and he would say, man, you know what? I feel like I really took a L today. I really lost today. I lost in this situation. I didn't do good in this situation. And I had to figure out how to help our minds switch into how do we profit from this failure? So basically every failure in the past is a lesson. And if we learn from it, even if we take a L today, if I go back into the past and I bring another L, another lesson, and bang, I bring those bitches together, that turns into a W. So now it's all about perspective of how can I bring a loss an old loss and a now loss together to connect the dots to turn into a W so that I can turn that into a win and move forward with those skills. When two L's make a dub. It's going to be my future book title. So if you guys steal it, this shit's time stamped, but all the respect to you, utilize it when two L's make a dub, baby. Tolerance, eliminating prejudices. So basically, we talked about this a little bit, but just being tolerant of others. Guess what? Other people have different religions, different faiths, different beliefs, etc. Everybody's trying to talk to us from their perspective. So, for example, if you grew up and your parents your whole life told you, hey, this is a white marker, this is a white marker, this is a white marker, this is a white marker. Be like, yeah, that's a white marker. And then you go to a new place in the world and you start telling people, hey, yeah, I got this white marker, here it is. And they say, no, Teague, it has black in it because of this, and this. Can you see the black too? And they give you a list of reasons and you start seeing it and you're like, oh shit, it has black in it too. It's black and white marker. Boom. And then you run back to all the people, guys, the people that told you it was a white marker. Guys, I got it. It's a white and black marker. Can you see it? Look, because of this, and this. Oh, Teague, they think a little different than you. You know what? You should probably stop hanging around them. Don't listen to what they're saying. And little did they know, there really was both white and black if we would have just taken the time to consider both perspectives and learn from each side. And then golden rule, baby, love one another as you love yourself. That's number one right there. If you look after, I think it was Napoleon Bonaparte, I believe, basically, and I could be mistaken on that one, but I believe he was saying that if you look after your men like your own children, they'll go to death with you without flinching, something to that extent. I'll have to find the exact quote, but that's truly what it is look after each person as a brother, as a sister, and how can I help this person? Because even when families fight, if an outside source comes against the family, that fight is gone. It's like, oh, that's my brother, that's my sister, I got his back. Whose back do you guys got? And more importantly, do you have your own back? Now, it breaks into science too as well, which is beautiful. You'll see a lot of ancient religions and philosophies talk about as above, so below. And there's molecules, atoms, the beauty of looking at the atoms versus the cosmos and the planets and how they look similar and how there's so many similarities. But basically in biology class, we learned that, don't you know, it's a little phrase for every being, basically everything's made out of, in essence, these four things: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. That's mostly what every single thing is that we understand up to this point. And it's just a different mixture of all of these things. So it's being able to tap into these mixtures. Basically, if you add another molecule, you add another electron, you add another proton to something, it completely changes the chemical structure and it completely changes what that substance is. So in old school, they'll talk alchemy, like turning base metals into gold, or turning old consciousness into new consciousness. And when you meet other minds, you also get chemical reactions. And I know you guys have felt this way because it may be from a young man's perspective, you may see a woman and just be like, whoa, boom, who is that girl? I got to find out who this person is. You instantly start talking to her and you have that attraction. And then there's also people where you come into minds with and you're like, man, I just don't feel good with this person around. And it could be like just a tension, or could be a fear, but it's a meeting of a mind. We have different chemical reactions going on all the time. And as you meet those minds, just like you would meet molecules, you would meet electrons, you would meet protons, you'd be able to mix those. And they either mix, they don't mix. They'll mix great, like two things of water, or they won't mix at all, like oil and water. And we'll talk about that in just a second as well. And what are we missing because of our limited five senses? Is there a possibility that we don't get to see the whole spectrum? Obviously, we know we can only see a small fraction of the light spectrum. So there's obviously different things we can't see, like heat vision, night vision with our eyes directly. and different things like that. We have to have tools for it. A dog whistle, the dogs can hear it at that frequency, but the human ear can't. So obviously there's more extended past our five senses that we can't comprehend all the way. We've also developed tools to help us comprehend these types of things. So what are we missing? That's an important question to ask ourselves. Moods and your magnetic fields. So basically, if you guys go look into this, there's been previous studies on your heart producing an electromagnetic field that can reach several feet away. And the way I like to explain this is if you've ever walked into a room, you're super happy, you're having a great day. You're like, oh, yes, everything's smooth, everything's great, we're chilling. You walk into a room where people have been crying or talking about something negative or sad, and you walk in and you can just feel it. Whoa, something's not happy here. It's those type of electromagnetic fields that are happening. Nikola Tesla starts talking about how if you study supernatural, science would advance faster than it ever has if you've been able to study supernatural causes and effects instead of just what we visualize with our five senses again, which is supposedly natural. The ether. This is so damn interesting, and there's a lot of speculation on the ether, but the ether in essence is basically, let me put it to you this way. Richard Bandler, when I was in LA working for Jordan again, he mentioned Richard Bandler, who co-created what's called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I was watching some of his old seminars and his old lectures, and he made the reference to a floppy disk. So what he meant was, in any magnet, we know the Earth automatically has a north and a south pole, but in any magnet, you also have a north and a south pole. And amongst those poles, let me just write this here again. You got north and you got south. And amongst those poles, you have magnetic attraction, whether it be repelling or whether it be attracting. Now, within this north and south pole, information can be magnetized to it. So if you understand a floppy disk, that's all it was, is a little disk, north and south pole. They magnetize the information to it so it can be repeatedly understood. And what if this world has information in it that can be understood or tapped into that has always been here? That's a very, very interesting theory. And Nikola Tesla basically thought he could have free energy for the entire world, which is so interesting, because how would that be if there wasn't something around us? And that magnetic field, or that basically transferable thing, similar to air, but not necessarily. It's the feeling. It's almost like telepathic, where your brain's like a Wi-Fi set or a receiving as well as giving out. And I don't know if you've ever had this, like a family member or somebody you love, where you're thinking about them just weirdly, and then boom, they call, or boom, something happened with them. You had a dream about them. You woke up, hey, are you okay? And something happened. Like, there's been countless things of that. So just be open-minded here and consider, what if the mind was similar to a Wi-Fi router, being able to tap into old thoughts that have always been thought, as well as old information that's been there. That'd be a very, very interesting thing. And based on my studies and based on what I've tried and practiced, I truly believe this to be true, because you can tap into information that isn't always known. And I think it's a higher power for sure being able to guide us. And I don't care what you call that higher power. You can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it energy, the universe, vibes, whatever name you want to call it. The one power is what we're speaking of. Whether you call it the white marker or the black marker, we're talking about the same damn marker. So something great and interesting to take into consideration. Now, what is harmony? Napoleon Hill talks about harmony over and over and over and over. And harmony is working in unity towards the same goal. So again, we have elite athletic teams. You have the Tom Brady getting everybody on the same page, moving towards the same goal. Hey, they want a Super Bowl ring. In the off season, he's bringing everybody to like one-off camps where they're all just getting to know each other. There's camaraderie. Why do you think there's team outings, team retreats, or business retreats All of these things are to help people produce harmony. Eating together produces harmony. It's a relaxed state where we're sharing, we're breaking the bread, we are um, basically alert and defenses are down. And you can start opening um, avenues towards more harmony. The 300 Spartans, when you are in harmony with a group of people, miracles can happen, supernatural feats, crazy feats can be accomplished. The 300 Spartans were roasting all these Persians left and right, thousands and thousands and thousands of them, roasting them. And there was only 300 of them because they were all working in harmony, all working as a unit towards one collective goal. And you're going to find countless different examples of this, but just start considering all these things. Henry Ford, Harvey Firestone, and Thomas Edison. Something most people don't know about them. These three, obviously, Henry Ford needs no introduction. Harvey Firestone, the tire guy, needs no introduction. Thomas Edison needs no introduction. But they all started with little schooling. They all had little capital. And as they started becoming more and more successful, they would go on trips yearly and to assist each other just with ideas, whether it be out in the woods, hanging out, etc. So it's important to be able to understand from other people's minds to gain knowledge faster than running in the brick wall. Again, instead of going from A to B, if somebody already went from A to B and now they found C, just ask them how they skipped B, what they had to go through. And if you take that knowledge, boom, you can fast pass that bitch and go right into it from A to C. Now, nature's Bible, guys. There's so many different religious texts and so many ones that claim to be the one. And there's so many different texts. I'm not going to dive into the craziness of that, but what I will dive into is nature has laws. Basically, every night the sun goes down, every morning the sun goes up. There's 4 seasons. There's a consistent rotation of planets around. Stars are going. Ancient civilizations knew this way, way better. The Mayan calendar is more accurate than the calendar we use in the United States today. So it's like, and the pyramid of Egypt is right on true north. Like, what is going on? How did they know all these mathematics? How did they know the order of these nature's laws? Because they studied nature's Bible. So basically, and this is in a different part, but there's going to be laws that work with us or against us, whether we like it or not. Just like the sun comes up every day, goes down every day. We know that. We can either accept it or utilize it again, or it's utilized against us. So some people are like, ignorance is bliss. But if you don't know the laws, you're like a fish swimming upstream. It's just blasting you in the face. You're like, man, like, I'm trying to swim. But if you don't utilize those laws, you're always swimming upriver. As soon as you learn the laws of nature and you learn how, again, the video game works, if you learn the parameters, how you can move within the game, if you took the tutorial instead of skip tutorial in the game, you know, and you used to first start one, there's like, here's a tutorial, press A to jump, press B to hit, press C, whatever it may be. If you skip that and you don't know, the game's going to be a lot harder. So nature's Bible, become a student of nature, become a student of everything around you, become a student every day. And this is going to help you grow fast. There's 2 ways that info comes into the mind. One is through active imagination. We're continuously thinking of it, and then boom, an idea comes. And then 2 is bolts of ideas into the mind. And a lot of neuroscientists and different people have talked about this is the subconscious pushing an idea through. A great book to learn about the subconscious is Psycho-Cybernetics by a guy named Dr. Maxwell Maltz, if you want to dive into that deeper. Now, bolts of ideas that just come into the mind, you have to respect because it's fast. It's like you're driving down the road, driving to work, and something's like, boom, hey, you should probably call so-and-so. You're like, shit, no, I'm busy. I'm going. I'll call him another time. That little call at that right time might have opened a door to take you to a new level if you would have just listened and respected that idea. Elon Musk, he's the modern day Henry Ford. These guys were geniuses as far as confidence in their own ability. You'll find that the more people work towards something, the more they not knowingly turn into a genius of that industry. And you don't just wake up one day and it's like, I'm the genius. No, it's continuously developed. And just like becoming the best at something, you can look at putting 10,000 hours into something and you become a master at your craft. Next thing you know, it's easy for you. You can move with ease and get. How hard does LeBron James look like he is trying? Not effort wise, but skill wise. How hard does he look like he is working on his skills? His skills are already to such a level, he just has to put the effort in, and it just looks beautiful and results happen. Boom, he's killing the game all the time. But confidence in their own ability allowed these guys to promote what they were going to do and gain pre-orders from it. Something smart if you guys are thinking about any type of business. If you can get funding right out of the gate, the storyteller has all the power in the world, you guys. And if you look at James Cameron, how he was able to raise all the money for the movie Avatar, or if you look at Henry Ford, you look at all kinds of different people in pre-orders or pre-funding for the dream. And this is something cool. I didn't understand it, but the first time I met Jordan Belfort, when I paid to go to a seminar of his in Beverly Hills, he said this: if an idea is good enough, there's always funding for it. And I thought about that because I was like, one of my blocks was, well, I can't achieve this goal because I don't have the fucking funding. Where's the money going to come from? I didn't have the money. And then I heard him say that, and I'm like, oh, shit, man, I've been missing it this whole time. You just got to have a good idea. And the good idea can gain all the funding in the world. But again, it has to, and we'll break into this, but it cannot violate the rights of other men if it wants to last long term. Let's see. Importance of a significant other in your mastermind. Napoleon Hill breaks this down because he spent a lot of one-on-one, like homie time with Henry Ford, and he was able to analyze his wife too. And he said more than anyone, even Henry Ford himself, his success would have been attributed to his wife and how she backed him and how she supported him. In modern day, we can look at the example of Dee Devlin, Conor McGregor's girlfriend and fiance at the moment, where he had nothing. He just had the dream. But a woman, especially in today's day and age, was able to dedicate her life to helping her man in his work, not his job, in his work, in his life, and stay loyal from the bottom to the top. And she is a big reason why he was able to succeed. She lent him his car to go to and from trainings. She would help cook and prep his meals to make sure he was ready when he's cutting weight and going through hell. Always encouraging him, Connor, you can do it. Connor, you can do it. Where's your guys' Dee Devlin? And it's okay if she's not here right now. Mine's not here right now, and that's fine. We'll get her. You know, it just takes time, and that's absolutely fine. Organized knowledge is power. Organized in a vehicle to utilize the power. So basically, I could know every single thing in the world, but unless I'm doing something with it, it doesn't mean shit at the end of the day. So you have to be able to find a vehicle to utilize your power. So if you ever go to science class, they have like a ball sitting on a ramp. Let me wipe this real quick. You have a ball sitting on a ramp, and one is at the top, all the potential energy. So let's just keep this simple. So let's say you have a ball sitting on the top of a ramp here, and it's 100 pounds. So it has 100 pounds of possible energy to come back to the ground. This is potential energy. This is, I have 100 pounds of knowledge, but it don't mean shit if it's just chilling there. So we have to be able to take it and push the ball down the hill. As it starts moving, that's kinetic energy. Now the 100 pounds is in force. It's in motion, and it's being utilized. So find that vehicle to be able to get that kinetic energy in motion, get the momentum moving forward instead of, I got all this power, but it's not being used. The masked mind. This is something very, very interesting. For example, I don't quote me on this. This is just what I believe. I recall that Tony Robbins felt the same as Jordan Belfort on this, on their views from selling from stage. When there's a group of people together, it's been found that they can be manipulated a lot easier. So you'll see rallies, you'll see whether it be, if you dive into all kinds of weird stuff, like just groups of people. Groups have so much power. If you're the odd man out, you don't want to be the odd man out. It's a part of human nature, and I don't know why that is all the time. Something to consider. But basically, they didn't like to sell from stage because they didn't feel as ethical about it. And again, that is just what I recall from previous memory. Now, if you look at some of Hitler's old speeches when he was rallying Germany, and he's getting these guys hyped up. He's like, man, Germany's been belittled. Germany's been taken advantage of. And he starts getting these people hyped up. We got to get out of here. We got to become a unit. And they did have negative things that came out, and a lot of terrible stuff that ended up happening. But just what he was able to do as far as get a people moving together. Or look at this example as well, 9/11. When 9/11 happened, boom, everybody came together. The mass consciousness came together, and everybody was united in, hey, we are not putting up with any terrorist activity in the United States of America. Now, I have my own opinions on that, of course, but the mass mind, guys, something to consider. People will do wild things in groups, wild things that go against their normal everyday laws or parameters that they set for themselves in the video game, right? He talks about here that most businesses succeed because of the who in the business, not the what. Now, it's the correctly or incorrectly placed personalities in a business that make it succeed or fail. So again, our football positions. For example, at Greener Grass Juicery, my brother Denby, who is also a co-owner, he's one of the best. He is one of the best at being able to be engaged, serving, and have that servant heart while still being an alpha. An alpha servant leader is what Denby is. And he's able to place his personality in an area that he's making people continuously feel better. So people continuously come to talk to him, not only for the juice, not only for the product, but to be able to gain insight and gain a positive feeling and gain a better growth from this. And you've got to put yourself in your position. I'm telling you, success equals your definite attainment. Again, not a definite goal, not a wish, not a hope. The exact thing we're going to get. We're either going to get it or die by it. Get rich or die trying, 50 Cent says. As long as it does not violate the rights of other men. If it violates the rights of other men, it will not be able to last. And again, biggest example I can go to is Hitler. He was creating a movement so powerful, it almost wasn't stopped. But it wasn't based on truth and justice, because there was mass negative, mass evil things happening. The whole basically Jewish religion was getting attacked. A lot of the people were getting in the concentration camps. You look at Auschwitz. That is not based upon truth and justice. And if you want to go into both sides, it's a cool experience to be able to read the book it's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He lived through some of the concentration camps, and then study some of the World War II history and what they were doing. Like, just seeing both perspectives is so wild to understand that nothing will last unless it's based upon truth and justice. Why has America been so incredible since it was founded? Why have they been the powerhouse of the entire world? Because at the beginning, they were based on truth and justice when they were being oppressed by the UK and the England government at that time. They weren't having it. They wanted to be free. They wanted to have truth. They wanted to have justice. And now we talked about harmony though earlier. As soon as harmony breaks, so does the mastermind. So anytime two minds are together, it creates a third mind, a new idea, or a new mass consciousness you can tap into. Again, tapping into that magnet, being able to bring that information down. Now, when you're in harmony and you're with a friend and you're talking, man, I have this idea, and you tell them, and then it sparks ideas in their mind and they start bouncing it off, and it gets closer to, man, we got it. It gets clearer. But as soon as harmony breaks, so does the mastermind. If you've ever been in a relationship and you guys are working well together, everything's going great, you guys are helping each other, beautiful things are happening and starting to come to fruition, and then next thing you know, one person hurts each other or crosses each other or something like that, instantly, once you cut those ties, that third mind is gone. You can't access it anymore. You have to find a new mastermind or get back into harmony. Sex and charging versus the devitalized mind. This was something I had to learn growing through big time. Sex can be one of the most basically influential energies, but it can also be one of the most destructive. So what I've found is when I am doing great things, I am in a great relationship, I am working towards the goal of a good thing with a female, and we're benefiting each other in a great way, we're serving each other in each other's goals in life and helping each other grow as human beings and become better people, that energy is utilized in a positive direction and used. And it's very, very powerful, because you guys got to think, especially a young man, how much time and energy have you put into chasing the female, or finding the next girl, or wooing a woman to basically be attracted to you in essence? It takes a lot of energy. And if you can utilize that energy with a woman for good things, or you just take away the negative energy that you've been depleting yourself of, you can utilize this and transfer it right towards your goals. You'll hear some fighters, they'll talk about this, about basically not being with females before fights. There's a lot of different speculation on both sides of this. But what I have found as well from personal experience is that even if I'm doing great, and if I allow myself to be with a female that is not on the right path in life, she's not, doesn't know what she wants, she's not very happy, just she just she doesn't know, that type of stuff, I just wasted my energy, and it sucked, literally it sucked the life out of me. It wasn't uplifting, and it wasn't charging. It took away my battery charge instead of reignited it. So be very, very conscious, because this, even after you're with a female, that if they're not growing, if they're separate, they'll take away from that, and it's a devitalizer of the mind. Now you have to build yourself back up, and sometimes that's a bitch to do. Immunity and a healthy body from a healthy mind. If you have healthy thoughts, you're going to take healthy actions, and you're going to be able to have a healthier body. So basically, in every person's body, we have the builder cells, the good cells that are always fighting for us. Your body's always fighting to keep you healthy, keep you alive, keep you well. And then you have the destructive cells, whether that be from the things we eat in our diet, the stress we have, our outside environment, all kinds of different things affect that. But the more positive your thoughts are, the more you'll be able to feed those builder cells that are consistently fighting for you. The more negative your thoughts are, the more easier it is to feed the destructive cells that are working against you at all the time. Humans in general are more bacteria than human DNA. So it's like, what type of bacteria are you consistently feeding onto your body? And are those bacteria working for you or working against you? It's like, is it a probiotic? Is it building you up? Is it an antibiotic, depleting, killing? Interesting stuff. When working in a mastermind, miracles will happen just because of organized power, because it's your effort times somebody else's effort times somebody else's effort, all towards the same goal. And it's like, if you look into one ox, like if an ox has a wagon behind, he can pull a certain amount. But if you put two oxen there, they can pull more than twice the amount together, which is very, very interesting again, because 2 plus 2 doesn't always equal 4. Sometimes it's exponential. And if you get the right teams, let's go back to Tom Brady, you get the right people in the right places, miracles happen. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, goal, 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 goal. Conor McGregor working with his group, consistently locking himself in with training camps. And next thing you know, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather for $100 million out of nowhere. The book lists that 6 to 7 is the best number in a mastermind to be able to create power, to be able to assist each other and help each other out. I don't know why this is yet. So if you have any input on this, let me know, because one of the most influential masterminds that I've been able to study is Jesus himself, and he had 12 disciples. Um, so is 12 to 13 also just as powerful since it's been utilized? And obviously, if you haven't heard of him, it's most people in the world have heard of him at least some point in their life. And so why 6 to 7? I'm not sure yet, but that's something we're still to find out. Now, ideas will come either from the subconscious of the individuals when they're talking as a mastermind, they're creating and they're working together, or it's gained from the ether. Again, pulled from that magnet that we talked about of the Wi-Fi basically going all around us. The revivalist energy. So he talks about the revivalist energy, how, and this is again the mass mind, going back to selling from stage and group places. When you're at a concert, you just feel a vibe, you just feel this way. And when you're at a rally, if people are hyping you up, it's easy to get hyped up with everybody else. If you're in a church service of any kind of religion, in the book, he mentions the revivalist energy. They call it in church services the Spirit of God. In seminars, they call it energy. And it's like, man, the vibes are real good here. It's like it can be called all kinds of different stuff, but it's an energy of a group of people. It's just different than when one individual is by themselves. A group, there's power in numbers. Breaking bread with others, like we talked about, is easy to allow others to open a doorway to create harmony. But success at the end of the day, it's the ability to adapt your circumstances in such a way that you move with the laws of nature, not against them. We mentioned the fish in the river. We don't want to be swimming upstream all day. Lack of harmony is the only and main cause of failure he talks about in this chapter in the introduction. And you have to be able to adapt with the game face on it at all times in order to be in self-control no matter the circumstances. If you want to rise to the top, there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of obstacles come your way. And if you get affected and pulled in that direction by every obstacle without being able to keep a calm composure, and you lose your emotions to it, you lost. So for example, in fighting, if you start, you're working technical, boom, 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 you're working all your technique, and then you start getting caught. Maybe you take a couple to the chin, you get caught, and then it's like, man, you get emotional, you get pissed, and then you just start swinging for the fences, you start losing techniques, and boom, you're open to exposure now. You might get knocked out. Don't be ignorant to the laws. Don't lose that technique, and don't lose your composure if things get hard. Boom, okay, I got caught. Let's adapt. Where did he catch me and how come? Boom, do I need to slip here? Do I need to move here? Like, how do I need to adjust moving forward instead of get caught and losing that emotion, keeping your composure? Because that can kill an opportunity that fast as losing your composure in any situation. The meaning of education, he breaks down, is from the Latin root meaning of educo, meaning to develop from within, educe, or to draw out, to grow through use. So education isn't I learn outside in. Education is I learn inside out from my experience. Experience is what divides the winners from the losers, guys. And this is how you learn self-taught. Because it's like, look at it this way. When your parents said, hey, you're going to go through this situation and this is how it's going to be. You're like, yeah, whatever, Ma, whatever, Pa. That ain't how it's going to be. I know what I'm doing. And then you go into that situation and you hit your head first into a brick wall and you're like, oh shit, man, my parents were right. It's because they told you from the outside in, but you couldn't learn you can't just be told all the time. You have to learn from the inside out. Once you discover it to be true for yourself, that's when you know. And that's where education is. Muscles grow through use. If you're not using the learning, if you're not using the brain, it'll wither and atrophy. If you're not working out, if you're not working the muscles out, they wither and atrophy. The body is the most efficient machine in the world, and it will not utilize energy it doesn't need to if it's not continuously being pushed in that direction. An educated person is one who knows how to it's a person who knows how to get everything he needs in the attainment of his main purpose in life without violating the rights of other men. So Basically, simple, being able to find access to what you need when you need it. Henry Ford, in the book, it talks about a story where Henry Ford's in court, and the lawyer is just asking him all kinds of questions. How many people did they bring in this battle at this time in the country? And how many just questions on facts. And after all this interrogation, Henry Ford finally basically said, how come you keep asking me these questions when I don't need to know them? He says, let me remind you, I have a button deck on my desk, and I can push a button and ask any given question to the people who know the answer, and have that answer to that question, all the questions you've asked me, and many more you can't even think of asking. I can have access to that knowledge by pressing one button. Why should I entertain myself with learning all these facts that don't matter? Again, facts, accurate thought. What matters in my main goal? Bringing those into utilization, bringing those into use, and discarding, getting rid of all the rest. Opportunities are all around us. One man's trash is another man's pleasure. He talks about in the book how there was a guy who owned some land along the side of a highway, and he was paying property tax on it. And he's like, man, this is a bitch. I don't want to have to pay property tax. This is a weight on my shoulder. So he sells it to a guy who is imaginative, who bought it at dirt cheap. It's like, man, this is a cool piece of land, and there was all kinds of redwood, or not redwoods, but trees growing, and that were already on the land that he bought. So he cuts down some trees, he builds a little cabin along the side, and he rents it out to people traveling on the highway, tourists going to their next location for a couple dollars a night. He got the materials for free. It was already on his land. And now he's making profit off of something that was a weight to somebody else, because he went in with imagination. He went in with a new perspective of, man, how do I work with what I currently have? And how do I utilize that to get further in my goals? He eventually turned it into bigger and bigger and more hotels, more locations, where was making more and more profit faster than ever, because again, he had imagination to do something different. Vision and imagination are education as much as schooling and learning of facts, guys. Now, the shadow mind. So the shadow mind is a term that I listed this as, that we mentioned a little bit earlier, of when you're coming in contact to others. Sometimes you have the mastermind, where it's like, man, instantly great ideas, great feelings, great things are met with, and then instant. Also, on the other hand, when you meet somebody, if you don't like them, boom, there's just that instant resistance. Just like, this ain't working. I don't like that person, because the chemicals don't mix well. And the shadow mind, if you're with that person that causes tension, that third mind is still caused. It's just no longer a mastermind. A mastermind is going to be working for the positive, for helping, for assisting. A shadow mind is going to be working for the negative. So now it's like, man, the tension heats up. It's like, well, fuck that guy. Well, fuck that guy. Well, fuck that guy. Well, fuck that guy. And now it's like, now we got to fight. You said fuck me, fuck you. Now there's a fight. And the shadow mind's created, and all this dark thoughts are sitting in there. So something to consider again. What type of minds are you creating with other people? And if it's shadow minds, you got to get out of there. You got to find a different group. You got to find people who mix with you like the water, not against you like oil. Women and the success of men. We talked about, as far as Dee Devlin, we talked about Henry Ford's wife, but there's something about young men, and they'll go to basically almost like crazy risky situations, or give all their effort, even more effort than they thought, just to impress females, whether it be with athletics. They know a girl's coming to watch them that they like. You best believe they're going to be all 100% in on that game, balling out as much as they can, because that girl's coming. And the positive support of a female, if she continuously backs you and feeds that fire of your dream, and helps you develop that self-confidence and continue in a place of harmony where you're together, your goals are aligned and your hearts are aligned, magic can happen. Now, at the same time, if it could be this female that you're with, it might even be a relationship that's causing the shadow mind. And it might be, well, she's jealous. Well, you're working towards a goal, and she's like, man, you know what? You're not spending enough time with me. You didn't spend 40 hours with me this week and watch 30 different Netflix shows and come with me and help me do this. And there's nothing wrong. Time is needed, absolutely. But if a woman is basically nagging or jealous or envious or bringing you down in any way, and this can go vice versa in relationships with males or females. Each one person can be holding the other person back majorly. But if that person holds you back and then is always getting at you, you can't even be the best version of yourself because you're always trying to live up to a different expectation. Instead, you're going against the river instead of with the river. A woman, and that's why I say a woman can either make or break a man, literally. Build him into the best he's ever been, or break him down into nothing. A man's chief business in life is to succeed. And again, the road to success has obstacles that must be removed before any goal can be reached. You have to figure out how to turn the river to swim with you instead of against you. And once again, success is just a problem to solve. He mentions that the intro, so basically all this talk on the mastermind that we're talking about, the first lesson should not be mastered until the first 5 lessons of the book are understood to best use it. And I'm going to break into those 5 lessons after this. We're going to do an episode every week, every Friday will be announced and will be dropped. The 6 basic fears. This one's badass because every single person has to conquer these. The first one is the fear of poverty. And this was derived from men preying on each other economically. So animals, basically in nature, you have alphas, and those animals are preying on each other. If there's an elk and it's in a herd of cows, lady elks, then it's trying to reproduce, right? It's the alpha. Now, another person would come challenge, another elk would come challenge that alpha elk for the right to mate with these cows, with these lady elks. That was animals physically. But men have changed now because you can't just go, we're not in the caveman days where it's like, man, I don't like that guy, or I want what he has. Let's go beat him up and take it all. Like that's against the law now. You'll get repercussions that are jail, all kinds of bad things like that. And so now they prey on each other economically, and they have, hey, well, I got a Ferrari, so now they're preying on each other. It's like status. So alpha in nature would have been, I'm a gorilla, I'm a monster, I'm the biggest gorilla in the tribe, I'm the leader, I'm the alpha gorilla. But men, something changed once economics started coming into the game and money. It's like with more money you had more power, and with more power you had more things, and the fear of not having the ability to do those things and wanting and being an alpha person is something innate in men, because men are supposed to be, again, alpha servant leaders. You have to marry both sides. You can't be an alpha but be an asshole to everybody. That doesn't do any good for you. An alpha servant leader. Fear of old age was derived from the thought of not accomplishing what is needed before too late, or not having enough wealth when our journey comes to end to be able to pass along, or to be able to finish what we started or achieve what we wanted to. And we're still in the what if, well, I had a goal, but I never got it. It's because you hoped and we wished, and we can't hope and we can't wish. We got to know, we got to have faith. And faith is built through developing self-confidence, which we will continue to work on. Fear of ill health. We talked about the germs and the builders and the builder cell, the germ cells and the builder cells, and what one do we feed more, whether it be from good thought, whether it be from diet, whether it be from people we surround ourselves, getting enough sleep, getting enough sunshine, exercising the body, hydrating. And then the fear of loss of love. Jealousy is, he mentions that jealousy is basically insanity, because let's say, for example, for a man specifically, if you've liked a female and another man is with that female, or basically she chose that man or something happened, whatever it may be, and you start getting jealous, you literally start thinking some dark, twisted, sick, mean, angry, sad, depressed thoughts. And right there alone is insanity. That's a own personal hell you're living in and creating that for yourself. And again, it's like People fear the loss of love because it's like, what if they don't have, what if they're not alpha enough? What if they don't have enough power? And alpha in today's society, we talk about the economics, but they're still, again, an alpha servant leader. What does that look like? And that's what we want to create the image of what an alpha servant leader looks to young men in upcoming days. Not just, hey, you're smart and you're going to take advantage of people, or hey, you got money and you're going to take advantage of people, but how do we be intelligent? How do we use the smarts? How do we use the money and give back, as well as provide avenues for other people to lift? A rising tide raises all ships. Basically, Mr. Steal Your Girl is how people is how men prey on each other economically these days. Or flashing, hey man, look at my stuff, look where I'm at. And then you start comparing yourself to other people, and you can't become alpha if you're putting other people above you. Instantly you're not on the top. Our group of friends, and you'll start being able to follow this as we get more in depth, none of us is better than others. We are all alphas. We all have different strengths and we all have different weaknesses, but we play our roles just like the football team. One person's a receiver, one person's a quarterback, one person is the running back, one person's the lineman. It's like, but guess what? We're the all-star team. We're the best of the best because we developed this self-confidence, and you can develop the same self-confidence in order to attain what you want to get what you want to get. The fear of criticism, the need to fit in. This is a shitty one because like this is one I found myself holding myself back from, even through business. Like I always felt, and I'm so blessed that we're finally going through this and just boom, putting it all out there, because I'm done censoring myself for the rest of the world. Because if I have to think about, oh, well, what if so-and-so doesn't like what I say? Or what if so-and-so thinks that's mean and that hurts somebody's feelings? Or what if that wasn't good enough? All of these fears of criticism, it holds me back. And then it's like, even in business, there's been things that I didn't post on social media or I didn't tell to other people because I wanted to keep a solid professional business image, and I didn't want to negatively affect the business and where things were going. But what I found is our target market believes what we believe, and they think the way we think. And if you're not being your full self, if I'm not being my full self, I can't get the people who believe what I believe to fully invest in what we're doing. So we have to become ourselves. There's a lot of things that we're going to break into on the depths of self-confidence and not caring what other people think, and being able to move past that, because it's a hard one. It's a very, very hard one. And then the fear of death. Where do we come from and where are we going is what we're always asking. And this honestly there's a lot to do with people of the fear of death, of just not knowing what's happening next. And then you have a lot of religions where it's like, you have either two sides, you have the reward or you have the punishment. And human beings are motivated by two factors as well: the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. So again, if somebody tells you that if you do a certain thing, basically after you die, you're going to a terrible place, that's a scary life. Like shit. But if you feel like you're going to be rewarded and you might be going somewhere better or indifferent, it doesn't change. And there's a lot of great quotes from Marcus Aurelius on death, Epictetus, a lot of great Greek philosophers and Greek thought on death and being able to conquer the fear of death. But we'll continue to talk about that in another lesson. The law of compensation, guys. This shit made no sense to me at all the first time I read it. Because it's old school language. Ralph Waldo Emerson basically immersed himself. He went out into nature and just chilled all by himself, did a lot of studying, a lot of journaling, and he came out with a lot of these essays. And basically the law of compensation is the cause and effect. With every cause, there's an effect. And I didn't want to hear it, but there was this multimillionaire that told me when I was learning network marketing right out of high school. He said, "You're exactly where you expect to be in life." I'm like, whatever, that's bullshit. I didn't want to be, at the time, I was like, I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to be having to give up college wrestling. I didn't want to have to be doing all this stuff. And he's like, you might not want to hear it, but every action you've done up to this point, every choice you've made up to this point has led you exactly where you are right now, sitting in that chair. And I'm like, oh man, I wasn't ready for that humble pie, you know? That tastes terrible. But as soon as I started to realize it, now I could start, instead of the game playing me, and I'm just whatever happens today in the game, that's just cruising along. Man, well, this shitty thing happened. Why me? Why me? It's like, no, that's some bullshit. Instead of the game playing me, I started playing the game. It's like, well, what's the rules to this stuff? How do I maneuver in here? How do I function in here? And once I was able to start functioning there, I started finding out we have power. We have power, and we're able to work with a higher power that helps move through us and helps serve other people through us. Um, Something to help you build confidence is to study other wealthy or successful people in the industry that you like. This helps you learn what they did, how they did it, how human they are. It's like you have to meet a few multimillionaires or a few celebrities or movie stars to be like, oh shit, you're a person too. You got to eat breakfast. You got family problems. You got obstacles. Sometimes you're sad. Sometimes you're happy. It's like, you're not perfect. None of us are. But we put everybody on a pedestal until we see their limitations. So being able to see the limitations of other wealthy or successful people and be like, oh, he was there too. Oh, he had to go through that struggle too. Or she, whatever it may be. And you can like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. And that's how it always should be as an alpha servant leader. If you see another human do something, it's like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Why not? Somebody's done it before. If there's over 2,000 listed, and not, there's probably a lot more behind the scenes, but listed billionaires on Forbes, if 2,000 people can become a billionaire, 2,000 people have done something, it's like, okay, you know, at least you could, somebody could do it. It might as well be you. And then dominating your mind with the idea that you're going to whip the 6 basic fears. This is the only way to develop enough self-confidence to reach your goals. Hands down. A powerful man does not fear anything, including God. That's my interpretation of it. I think Jesus is a stud. I think he's a fantastic example of what a human being should be like. I do study multiple different religious texts, multiple different religions, and try to get different perspectives. So I don't care what you call this, but a man does not fear that high one power. He loves that higher one power because he works through it and he works with it in a positive alpha servant leader way. But fears him? Never, because nothing great can be lasted out of fear. Any power based on fear crumbles and disintegrates. Again, let's go back to World War II with the Holocaust. It's like all of this stuff was based on fear, and eventually it couldn't last because it wasn't based on truth and justice. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. That is chapter number 1, the Mastermind. Next Friday, we're going to break into a definite chief aim and a definite purpose so we can understand how to start creating our video game parameters that are going to help us have our bumpers when we bowl towards our goals. So let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm going to have a link down below if you would like to donate. Of course, never feel obligated. We're going to change the world through the people who believe what we believe, and we're going to help a lot of young men develop into becoming more and more alpha servant leaders in this beautiful world. So I'll have a link below with a little more information on that. But outside of that, stay tuned for next week, you guys, and we're going to have the definite chief aim coming up next. You guys are incredible. You're great. You're powerful. You're kind. You're confident, and you're going to change the world in a positive way. Love you guys, and keep dreaming, stay winning, and dream big.